Hello everyone and welcome. Today, we embark on an exploration of one of nature's most magnificent and perhaps most bizarre wonders, a plant species that defies all conventional definitions of beauty. We are talking about the Rafflesia, often nicknamed the monster flower or the corpse flower. Forget the vibrant, sweet-smelling blooms, The Rafflesia takes us to another realm, one where grandeur meets mystery, and the aroma carries a very peculiar message. What makes the Rafflesia truly one of a kind is its anatomy. Believe it or not, this plant has no roots, no stem, and no leaves. Its entire body is a parasitic network of tiny filaments hidden deep within the tissues of its host plant, typically a jungle vine. It draws all necessary nutrients directly from its host, essentially living as a ghost, existing only to bloom. And when that day arrives, a colossal bud emerges, taking months to mature before finally unfurling into a flower, so large it's almost unbelievable. Rafflesia arnoldii, the most famous species, can reach a diameter of nearly 1 meter, about 3 feet, and weigh over 10 kilograms, 22 pounds. It proudly holds the title of the world's largest single flower. Its colossal size is not the full story. The feature that makes Rafflesia most infamous and captivating is its scent. When in full bloom, Rafflesia emits a powerful odor, reminiscent of rotting meat or a decaying corpse. It sounds repulsive, but this is Rafflesia's clever survival strategy. The powerful scent is an irresistible invitation to carrion flies insects, specifically attracted to the smell of decay. As they enter the flower, they carry pollen from other blooms, ensuring the pollination process and the continuation of this bizarre species. Rafflesia is native to the tropical rainforest of Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. They require a very specific and sensitive habitat, making them rare and vulnerable. And sadly, after months of development, a colossal Rafflesia flower can only bloom and maintain its spectacular beauty for a short period, typically just 5 to 7 days before wilting and decomposing. The brevity of its magnificence only adds to the mystery and the value of every single bloom. The Rafflesia is more than just a flower. It is a lesson in extraordinary adaptation and the strange beauty of nature. It reminds us that life can exist in countless forms, and sometimes the most marvelous creations emerge from the most unconventional places. The Rafflesia, the colossal parasitic plant, is an ancient inhabitant of the Southeast Asian rainforests, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. Although it was only introduced to the Western world in the early 19th century to the indigenous people, particularly the tribes of Sumatra and Borneo, this flower was an ancient legend dating back millennia. In ancient times, the Rafflesia existed as an absolute mystery. Since its entire structure, roots, stem, leaves, is concealed deep within the tissue of its host plant tetrastigma, the plant seemed like a magical aberration when a colossal flower bud suddenly emerged from a climbing vine. Local communities have used Rafflesia buds for medicinal purposes for a long time, especially in remedies related to women's health and childbirth, demonstrating a deep cultural understanding and interaction with the plant in folklore. The French botanist Louis-Auguste Deschamps was the first Westerner to find a specimen in Java. However, his notes and drawing were confiscated by the British during the Napoleonic Wars and were only rediscovered at the Natural History Museum in London in 1954. The Rafflesia is a hollow parasite. Total parasite. It has an incredibly slow life cycle. A flower bud can take from 9 to 12 months or even 4 or 5 years to develop. Once bloomed, the giant flower only survives and maintains its beauty for 5 to 7 days before rapidly rotting and decaying. This brevity makes observation and research incredibly difficult. Today, most Rafflesia species, about 30 known species, face severe extinction threats. The destruction of the tropical rainforests, their sole habitat and that of their host plant, tetrastigma, has pushed about 60% of Rafflesia species into critically endangered status. Despite its massive and imposing appearance, the Rafflesia must still contend with various natural threats during its fragile life cycle. Rodents like squirrels, wild pigs, and certain large insects are often drawn to the developing Rafflesia buds. They view these buds as a nutritious food source, digging them out to consume and thus destroying months of development. After blooming, besides the pollinating flies, the flower also attracts beetles and termites, which damage and accelerate the flower's decomposition process. Despite these natural predators, the destruction of habitat by humans, logging land conversion remains the single largest threat, severely reducing the numbers of the host plant necessary for the Rafflesia's survival. The Rafflesia is a creature of duality. On one hand, it is a parasite, and on the other, it holds significant biological and cultural value. The primary biological drawback of the Rafflesia is its holoparasitic nature. It drains nutrients and water from the host plant, tetrastigma, weakening it and potentially killing it if the parasitic load is too heavy or if the host plant is young. The direct impact on humans is the overwhelming rotting flesh odor emitted during blooming, which makes approaching and observing it difficult, particularly during ecotourism trips. Within indigenous communities, flower buds are used in traditional remedies to help women recover post-childbirth and tone the body. In some areas, it is used to stop bleeding and aid in wound healing. Rafflesia is a prime example of extreme biodiversity and adaptation. It serves as a crucial indicator species for the health of the primary rainforest ecosystem, as its presence proves that the environment is intact and rich. The Rafflesia is more than just a flower. It is a lesson in extreme adaptation, a living symbol of peculiar beauty and the fragility of nature. It shows us that, in the natural world, even parasitism can result in a masterpiece. Yet, it also reminds us our greatest impact is not being repulsed by the scent, but rather the destruction of its habitat, the real threat pushing this marvelous flower to the brink of extinction. Thank you for joining us on this mysterious journey.